My dear students, a very warm welcome to all of you to our journey through information and communication technology. I believe that all of you are safe and healthy at your homes. Today we are going to start studying the first chapter of 10th standard information and communication technology. Before entering to the lesson, I have to specify some matters to you. We had the facilities to do the practical when we learn ICT from our school. Together with it, we were studying theory portions also. In present scenario, you cannot do practical or only a few one can do it from your houses if there are systems with you. So all of you have to listen the class carefully. You have to write down important points and practical steps in a notebook. It will be useful for you to learn the theory and do the practicals later. Now let us go through the lesson. Our first chapter is the world of designing. You may have heard about various kinds of designing. Fashion designing, that related to designing of clothes and textiles. Interior designing, that related to designing of offices, houses, shops, etc. Web designing, that belongs to designing of web pages. You learned some basic steps in web designing by creating web pages in 9th standard. You know one type of designing which we do in our school as part of learning activities or day celebrations, etc. What is it? Yes, poster designing. Haven't you all prepared at least one poster? How do you prepare a poster? Yes, you select a suitable picture based on given subject for the poster. Then color the poster, write the quotes and catching captions, beautify them by giving colors and drawing borders, etc. After preparing it, we may think that its color is not matching, or if we had given another color, it will have become more attractive. Or if we had made the slogan in another order, it can be more beautiful. At that time, what we can do? We will prepare another one, and we are unable to do editing on the present poster. But you learned the software to draw pictures and prepare posters in 8th and 9th standards. Which is that software? Yes, it is GIMP, GNU Image Manipulation Program. You have prepared posters and drawn pictures in GIMP. Don't you remember? How did you prepare posters in it? You drew pictures or inserted pictures, set the background, cropped the required parts from pictures and pasted them in poster and add captions beautifully. Thus you prepared a poster. After the preparation, if you want to make changes again, you can edit it. Then there is a lot of softwares that helps to draw and edit pictures. You have seen a lot of image files. Here I give you some file names. Try to find the image files from these. Can you identify? honey.odt, honey.png, honey.odp, honey.png, SVG. From these files, can you identify the image files? Did you get which are they? Yes, honey.png and honey.svg. I haven't shown any images, showed some file names only. Just then you could find the image files. How could you find it? Yes, by looking its extensions. There is 3 letters after dot with the file names: ODT, ODP, PNG, SVG. These all are the extensions of file. By looking these extensions, you could identify it. So there are 2 image files in this, that is honey.png and honey.svg. Then why there is 2 extensions if both of them are image files? Let us compare these pictures. Let us realize the features of these. For that we have to open these images. These pictures are there in our system. Let us open the standard 10 folder of school resources folder from home folder. There we can see 2 images, honey.png, honey.svg. Let us open both pictures one by one. We can find the properties of these pictures. Let us take them by clicking the tab of 3 lines near minimizing button. We can see name, width, height, type, then file size, the folder in which that saved in that properties window. So I am going to take the properties of SVG also in the same way. If we compare them, which one is smaller by its file size? PNG or SVG? Yes, SVG is smaller in file size. What is the pixel given as width and height? The images on a computer are formed by many tiny squares. These squares are known as pixels. We cannot see them when we look like this. For that we have to zoom the images. Let us zoom honey.png. You can use the option on top of the image to zoom, otherwise by scrolling the wheel of your mouse. We can see small boxes for the edges of letters when we zoom it. That are pixels. What happened to the clarity of pictures? It seems blur when we enlarge. That is decreasing the clarity of pictures. PNG pictures are bitmap or raster images. For creating these type of images, the color and size of each pixel will be mentioned there in these tiny squares. By seeing these small colored squares together, we see it as a picture. When we take that honey, we can see that the outline is black and inside it is filled with yellow color. In case of n, when it is filled with a specific shape, we can see it as n. We saw that when we zoom PNG images, their clarity will be lost. Now let us zoom the SVG. You can use the same way you used there in the honey.png. You can use the option there in the top of the image by clicking on it. Otherwise, you can simply scroll the mouse. Can you see any difference in the clarity of the image? So the clarity of SVG image remains the same when we enlarge it. Why it happens like that? PNG or bitmap images are raster images. You may have heard the word raster images. When the raster images are created, the size, color, and other properties of each pixel will be included in it. When we scale, that is, change its size, the excess pixel thus formed are created based on the properties of the neighboring pixels. That is why the clarity of PNG or bitmap or raster images decrease when we enlarge it. But in the case of SVG images are vector images. You know, vector means there is an importance to its direction. It is constructed by means of path between the 2 points, that is, start point and end point. This path could be a part of any geometric shapes like a straight line, square, triangle, or a curve. At the time of scaling, as the features including the direction are defined by equations, the required features are added according to the equation. So, the clarity of SVG or vector images remain the same. Thus, haven't you got the idea about why there is two file extensions? PNG images reduce the clarity when moved into a large canvas, that is, enlarged. But the clarity of SVG images are not lost even if they are opened in a big canvas. And the file size of SVG is smaller when we compare to PNG image. We can see that in the properties of the images. You have heard about PNG images in last years. When you learnt GIMP in last year, at the time of saving the images, we save them in .xcf format. Then we export them as PNG. But you are not familiar with SVG. SVG means scalable vector graphics. We can create these images in vector editing softwares. Hope you got the difference I explained about vector and raster images. Those who work on graphic field have to use images for different medias. So it is better to use SVG images in such situations. Not only that, you may have to create images to construct animations. There is a lot of vector image editing softwares which help to create some pictures for it. GIMP is an important raster image editing software. You learned it in 8th and 9th classes. Same like that, so many vector image editing softwares are also there. For example, Inkscape, that is Inkscape Vector Graphics Editor. then LibreOffice Draw, Corel Draw, Carbon, Adobe Illustrator, etc. Of these, Inkscape and LibreOffice Draw are free software packages, and all others are proprietary softwares. So, let us remember the things we learned today. What are they? First one is designing, isn't it? It is an art of arranging colors, letters, images, brightness, etc. in an attractive manner so that we can make beautiful posters. After that, the difference between vector and raster images. In the case of raster images, the clarity of images reduces on scaling, but vector images, the clarity of pictures is not lost on scaling. In the case of raster images, large in file size, but the vector images are small in their file size. Examples for raster images are .png, .jpg, .gif, etc. Examples for vector images are .svg, .ai, etc. Now you have to go to the last page of your ICT textbook. Let us evaluate the first question. Mark each of the following as correct or wrong. So you have to mark it right or wrong. First you have to write down, you have to draw columns like that in your notebook and write down the questions. Raster images are made of pixels. Mention it right or wrong in that column. Then a vector images lose their clarity while scaling. Then the last one, vector images have smaller file sizes compared to raster. And you have to write the answer of the last question of follow-up activities. That is, prepare a note on raster and vector images including more details. So you can write the answer of that question in your notebook by reading the first portion of the textbook and from the points you got from this class also, and you can add more points wherever you get. So let us meet in the next class. Thank you all and have a nice day.